feeling of early morning fresh air, the outdoors, and that running was so different from my treadmill running in a gym.
Completing the distance itself was a big challenge at that time. There was no one forcing you, no one pushing you, no one motivating you.
I'm a kind of person who likes to challenge myself more and more. Somehow that's always been the way I am. Training for ultra marathons, and ultra marathon training is never easy.
No, but I have huge respect for a person who is pushing her own limits.
Don't let anybody get you down. Do it. You're very strong because I know how strong you are. Not everybody runs for a medal.
Sometimes we don't know our own potential, and someone who's seeing us from afar can see more of our potential.
If you don't enjoy running, don't do it.
And if you get a true mentor, probably half the battle is already won.
I'm proud because not of any of my achievements. I'm proud of the way we have helped people. Ultra running is seriously about mental strength and how you train your mind to become very, very strong.
There should be classes specifically for senior citizens because they don't feel comfortable coming in a general group.
In my case, I get equal pleasure from strength training. So I've been strengthening a lot. I think we learn more from failures than from the good runs that we do.
Hi everyone, very good morning. Welcome to my channel. This is Meenal here. ये एक ऐसा चैनल है जहाँ पे हम इंटरव्यू करते हैं women को who are into ultra running, women in India who are into ultra running. तो उसी को मद्देनजर रखते हुए with me I have a very special guest today, Chandra ji. So Chandra ji, very warm welcome. She's been, I think, one of the pioneers in ultra running in India. Very warm welcome. और थोड़ा सा आप मुझे बताएंगे अपने बारे में before we talk about running and so on.
Okay, I am, as you can see, a senior person today. I have two grown-up boys, sons, who both are married, both are abroad. I lost my husband a few years back, so I'm quite alone now. But I used to work for an airline when I was much younger, when the children were younger. I used to work for an airline, and then somehow my interest was not there, and I was always interested in fitness. So then I joined a gym and started training myself, then got into running. So then I started doing marathons, ultra marathons, training, running, gymming. So that became my life post my airline days. Meanwhile, children were growing up, they got married. So I pursued my ultra marathons even further. And yeah, that's in a nutshell who I am today. An avid fitness person, fitness instructor. I owned and operated a chain of gyms called Contours, which was specific for women. I franchised this from the US in 2006, ran it for around 15 years, but then the pandemic came and we had we had scaled up to 12 gyms. By the time the pandemic came, we had come back down to about 8 gyms, but we had to shut down all of them because we couldn't sustain the losses. We had to shut down for close to 10 months. So then we closed down the gyms, and now I do my own fitness classes online. It's easy. I can work from home and pursue my other passions. I also love music. And yeah, that's pretty much who I am.
That's a lot of things, in a nutshell, you've spoken about from your life to then, running to gymming to music. Oh God, let's see what we can cover today. So just to give everyone a bit of a background about Chandraji also, when it comes to her running career specifically, I think she's the one person who really started in this running scene in India. She was there. So probably she started running back in 2005 with a half marathon in Bangalore. Then she did many half marathons probably. And then she did her first full marathon in 2007. From there on, she's been doing ultra marathons from 2008 onwards. So just give you a perspective. So there is a long list of ultra marathons that she has done, including a 36 hours ultra run in 2016, which was a stadium run in Bangalore, and another 48 hours run in 2017 in Bangalore, along with distances that she's run from one city to another, like Bangalore to Chennai run in 2018. So the list is long. Without wasting any time, ma'am, आप ही से जानते हैं, how did this running picture came into being? As you said that you were into airlines. So, ma'am, what really pushed you towards running, and how did it really start? Because back in 2004-5, I'm sure not many women were running, right?
That's true. So actually, I used to be a member of a gym, and I used to be an avid gymmer. And
Hmm.
this running happened very strangely because the gym where I used to go, it closed down for renovation, and I had nothing to do. And suddenly, I had to have my dose of exercise in the morning. So we have a lake around here, and I thought, let me try my hand at going walking and doing some exercises in the open air. But then walking somehow did not get to me, so I started running. And I found it very liberating to run outside because till then I had already run on the treadmill in a gym. I was a gymmer and I used to run on the treadmill and then do my weight training.
Hmm. Ma'am,
And
just sorry to cut you here, but just want to know what year are you speaking? मतलब कब आप gymming के बारे में बात कर रहे
this
हैं? Which
was
year?
year 2003 when all this happened. So I
Okay.
had gymmed already from 1996 to 2003, around 7 years. And I absolutely loved working out, lifting weights, and I was that kind of person. But you know how in a gym, when you go in for a warm up, you run on a treadmill. So that's all the running I was doing. But then when they suddenly shut down for 3 months, I didn't know what to do. So I went out and started running around that lake. I thought I'll walk, but then I started running, and what got to me was the feeling of early morning fresh air, the outdoors, and that running was so different from my treadmill running in a gym. Right from day one, I fell in love with it. I absolutely loved that type of running.
Hmm.
And coincidentally, at that time, I met a friend, an Australian gentleman who used to be a friend of mine, who's still a friend of mine, rather, who himself was a marathon runner. And he said, why don't you start training for a marathon? And I had not even, I mean, I knew what a marathon was, but I hadn't thought of a marathon. I was just thinking I will run for fitness. So I started running he was running with a group, and I started running with him. They were training for some event abroad, but I just started running with them, and I realized that it's nice to push, nice to do different types of training. They were doing various things. So I got into that. Meanwhile, the gym opened within 3 months. So I would do 3 days of running, go back to the gym and work out there for 3 days. So I was mixing it all up. So I really trained myself well. Then in 2004, I just did a 21K on my own. There were no conducted events at that time, honestly. Other than I had not thought about doing Mumbai anyway. I wanted to do my first run in Bangalore. In 2005, Bangalore conducted the first marathon. It was called a Lipton Marathon at that time, conducted by a small agency. So I decided to take part and I did the half marathon. And I didn't find it all that challenging. I'm one of those strange people who never did a 10K. I straight away did a 21K. So then I got even more motivated to do. So then I think I went to Bangkok and did a half marathon there called a Temple Marathon, probably 2006, early 2006. No, prior to that, I did the Mumbai half in 2006. Then I did the Temple Run again in Bangkok, and one more which was in Bangalore. So I'd done about half marathons, and that distance somehow started getting less and less challenging. No, don't get me wrong. I've never been a very fast runner, but I love running and I love doing what I do. I've never prided myself being one of record breaker or anything like that. Um, so in 2006, I said, let me do the Mumbai full. Let me try my hand at Mumbai full. And yes, I don't know whether that was a mistake or what I did was right because I had had no training. I was training myself on my own, downloading something from the net and doing whatever I could do. So the first Mumbai marathon was super, super hard. I somehow finished it because nobody had trained me. And I just thought 42 is double of 21. Why can't I do it? So that's absolute of stupidity, but that's what I did. Then, of course, I got wiser and met a few people here. But at that time, you're right. Around that time, when I was running around 2003 to 2005, at least in Bangalore, I don't know about other cities, there were hardly any women running. And I would often be stopped by other people saying, why are you running so much? You will have knee issues, you will have hip replacement. People were giving me all kinds of free advice that you're a woman, you shouldn't be running so much. I was getting all kinds of crazy advices. But anyway, I continued. Around the same time in 2006, I also started my own gym chain called Contours, like I told you, a gym chain for
Ma'am,
women.
one second. I would like to, stop here and understand it more. जैसे कि आपने बोला, you 2003, I think you started running, and then you did couple of half and then a full marathon. Because there were no women, ma'am. What I always see is it's always hard for someone to start it. People following someone is quite easy.
Yeah,
So now you were one of those people who started this running thing. For example, a women of your age at that time, no, offense to
yeah,
the
very
age,
few.
but you were 45 approximately at that time.
Yes,
And you
yes, I
were
was
doing
already a
long,
veteran in the
ah,
marathon language is called a veteran. My first big
veteran, yeah.
experience was there at veteran bib.
Yes, a 45 AM female, running half marathon, full marathon in 2005 probably was a very strange thing, even in metropolitan cities like Bangalore. तो मैम
Yeah,
what
it was.
हाँ तो अभी तो फिर भी बहुत I would say females are coming into it and so on, but उस time पे मैम what really pushed you, मतलब आप किसको देखते थे? You must be having some idol कि why would you want to do a full or so, or someone must be there for your training runs, or were you doing all your training runs also alone?
So around 2006, like I told you, I pretty much was doing everything alone. I would see one or two lone girls running here and there, but they would be like much younger than me and girls who I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And we would run at different times, so it
Mm-hmm.
was not like we could train together. We have a great park here called Kaban Park, so most of my runs I would run inside the park just to be on the safe side. Those days we didn't have much traffic in Bangalore. It was pretty much different from what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody pushed me. I'm a kind of person who likes to challenge myself more and more. Somehow that's always been the way I am. Even in the gym, there was a time when my personal trainer would take me to, even those days with this gym Talwakas, they used to have a men's section and a women's section,
Mm-hmm.
and they had different machines for women and different machines for
Oh,
men.
is
And yeah, only the cardio section was common, where
mm-hmm.
they have the treadmills and the bikes and all, but the machine section were different because I don't know what was the reason. It's not there anymore, but those days probably they thought women needed a different one and men needed a different one. But yeah, even there, by around 3 4 years, my trainer would take me to the men's section because she would say the female section is not suiting you anymore. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just that kind of person who likes to push more and more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so around that time when I started training, there were not too many people. First of all, training marathon running itself was so very nascent in India. I remember post that Bangalore did a midnight run because they couldn't stop traffic. They didn't get permission to stop traffic. So they did a midnight run in this tech park. We have a huge tech park in Whitefield. So they decided to do a midnight run. It had a 5 kilometer loop, so multiple loops of that. And this started at 12 in the night. And I recall we were just two women doing it, the full.
Mm-hmm.
Many were doing the half. And I remember the security guy even telling me that unless you finish, I can't go home. Why are you running so late in the night? It was funny. People would stop, stare, ask funny questions. So it would be that kind of a crazy situation. Anyway, then subsequently, I did few more marathons. I did that midnight marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I was winning prizes because there was only one running. I mean, me and
Mm-hmm.
another girl. So what was the big deal? We were hardly anybody there. Winning
Uh-huh.
prizes was no big deal because nobody was running. I
No, but
remember
that
my
completing the distance itself was a big challenge at that time. There was no one forcing you, no one pushing you, no one motivating you. It was you within yourself and competing with yourself. So I think that is even more difficult than competing with someone else, right?
yeah,
Because
I
there was,
know.
ah,
Weird when I think about it today, but those were very different days. My first Mumbai half also, because I was veteran, I was already over 45, and there were exactly three veterans running. And they pulled me and said, I've come first. And one got disqualified, so only two finished. So it was very strange. And my family back here, were surprised when I called them and said I won the first prize. They said, "What? This is your first marathon? How did you go and win a prize?" I said, "Because nobody, no other woman is running. I'm the only one who's running here."
No, no, but I have huge respect for a person who is pushing her own limits. There's no one competing. Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, now I have two questions here. One is, as you told, because you had a different mindset than normal people. So, how did it come? Was it always there since childhood? कि आप अपने आप से बहुत ज्यादा compete करते थे
Yeah, I
push,
think
or how was it?
so. I think from childhood I've loved sports for sure. Very
Hmm.
much sports oriented, not at all academically oriented, not good at studies.
Hmm.
But you know how I grew up in a generation where my parents never encouraged me to take up any sport. I
Hmm.
mean, running and all is out of the question. Even a game like badminton, they wouldn't encourage. We lived in a different era when all they wanted was study, study, and get married. That was the
Hmm.
mindset. I don't blame them. It was a different time altogether. Talking about the 1970s, so you can imagine 1970s, India was different. So even then of course, although I was interested in sports, I knew that this was not going to happen. But I had it in my mind that someday I will pursue some sport. But I had no idea in my head what I want to do. But I knew I want to do something. But
Hmm.
then marriage happened, children happened, and then we got busy. And then finally, I realized that maybe running is something I can do,
Hmm.
which is very much on your own. You don't need to be, it's not a team game, and you can pretty
Hmm.
much do it on your own. Somehow I got into it. I don't know how, why, but yeah, and I love pushing, like you said.
Uh-huh.
So I continued doing these marathons. Some more I did, which was
Uh-huh.
foolish because at that time nobody was guiding me. I kept doing some 3 marathons in a year. For 2 years, I did 6 marathons almost. By the time 2007 ended and by mid 2008, I'd done some 7 to 8. I went to Melbourne because I have this friend who is an Australian, but did one there. So I did about 8 marathon with nobody told me that, it was very foolish at that time to just keep doing what you wanted to do, primarily.
But मैम आई
Then,
थिंक उससे वो endorphins इतना ज्यादा रिलीज होता है, you want to do more and more and more, isn't it?
yeah, but then there should be it should make some difference. Finally, I realized I was doing the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then in 2008, I did my first 50K at the Bangalore Ultra. So
Hmm.
Bangalore
Ma'am,
started
before
as
I talk about that, I want to ask, sorry, ma'am, but then I want to ask you the mindset of your family now. I'm sure आपकी family में भी runners नहीं होंगे because पहली बात तो runners ही rare होते थे. So now when you took up running it in 2003, 4, 5, 6, what was the reaction of your family, your husband at that time? If it's okay if you want to talk.
very, very supportive, very supportive. He was extremely supportive from the start. He would say, if this is what you want to do it. Don't
Hmm.
let anybody get you down. Do it. You're very strong because I know how strong you are. You can do it. And he always encouraged me. The children always encouraged me. It was never a problem with my immediate family, but my extended family, maybe the aunts, uncles, and the older people were like, what is wrong with her? Why is she doing these crazy things? But anyway, I let that go because my family was, they were very proud of me. Very, very.
Okay.
They would come and support me here and there during my runs. And to the extent that after a while they realized that supporting her is so boring, we might as well start running. So they all started running. My husband has done half marathons, full marathon. My son today, my younger son, is an avid marathoner. He lives in Europe. He's doing amazing amount of really fast marathons. So yeah, somehow got them into the sport instead of they were very encouraging. There was never any problem
Wow,
there.
that's really nice. A mother promoting the children, and that too at an age where generally people don't start with the sports. You started late, and then from there they picked up. That's wonderful. Now, ma'am, let's talk about the chain of gyms that you had. So, probably when did it happen, and how did that idea come into being?
So like I told you, I was working for an airline, and my heart was not in the job. Actually, I was working, and I worked there actually for 15 years. Initially, it was enjoyable, and kind of I don't like this 9 to 5 job with targets on your head. And I was their regional sales manager for South India, and there were a lot of pressure to meet targets, and you know how these jobs are. Somehow I was not enjoying it too much. And from year 2001, my husband was telling me, like, please don't go like this to work. You might as well start something. I don't know what you want to start, but this is not the way you should be working, and there's no compulsion to work. So I don't know why you're doing this. So I kept thinking, and I didn't want to be in the travel business. I was thinking of something to do in the fitness business. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to start a gym. What is it I wanted? But at that time, I heard about Contours. Like I told you, this Australian gentleman who's my friend, he told me that there is a chain of gyms for women, specifically for women in Australia, which is doing extremely well. And he felt it'll do very well in India because not many women were going to gyms those days. Now it's a different scene. But those days, gyms were perceived as a place where men go and lift huge weights. So perceptions were different. They never did realize that you can do other things in a gym. So people, generally women, would not go. So I think I was the first one to start a women only chain in India. And this started in 2006. So we franchised it. My husband went, met them. I franchised it along with this gentleman. He also was my partner in the business. We started Contours in India.
Mhm.
And slowly it started growing because it was really welcomed by, especially by women, for whom it was important to have a space where they are not judged. So
Mhm.
primarily when you're out of shape or you're not as much as an expert as other people, you don't like to go out and work in a common area where you're judged. Or especially when you're older, for example, and you see all these young people, who are fit and fine, and you feel a little out of place. So this was a space which they felt like home, where they could come, they could work out and get whatever decent amount of fitness that they wanted. So it became very popular. So we started growing then. Then we had one in Mumbai. I mean, we grew all over the country. And then it became difficult for me to manage outside of Bangalore. The constant traveling, managing stuff. So Mumbai we shut down because it was very difficult for me to manage from Bangalore. So instead we opened more in Bangalore. So by year 2013, yeah, 13 or 14, we had 12 in India, including in Gujarat. We had one as far as Pathankot in Punjab. So we had
Oh,
gyms all
wow.
over.
I'm Punjabi, ma'am. So,
So we were
okay.
we were very happy at that time. Of course, the workload was crazy because by then I had started training for ultra marathons, and ultra marathon training is never easy. Humongous amount of training. I had to manage so many gyms. They were not all mine. Some were franchise, some were mine, but still I had to manage the whole setup, the whole business. Plus, at the same time, unfortunately, my husband fell sick too. He was detected with cancer. So it was like this period of 4 years when I did everything all together, managing gyms, managing my business, managing my ultra running, and yes, things were not great because of his illness. But somehow we managed it all.
Mhm. Okay, ma'am. Then can you tell me a little bit about how the journey into ultra marathon supported? I'm sure full marathon was a good distance in 2007. What really prompted you to upscale your distance from marathon to ultra marathon back in 2008?
Like I told you, I like to push. I just like to do something more than what I'm doing already. If I've already done it enough times, it happened with my half. I did a few halves, then I wanted to do a full. I did a few fulls. And not that I was, like I told you, not that I was getting any better, but I decided, okay, now let me try my hand at the 50K.
Mhm.
So that was Bangalore was conducting an ultra marathon, and
Was
I
it the
decided.
first ultra marathon? I'm not sure. I don't know when did the
Did
ultra
one in
marathon.
2007. They did one in 2007.
Mhm.
They started in 2007 by a group called Runners for Life. I think in India they were the first ones to do ultra marathons. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were the first ones conducted
So,
ultra marathon.
so you were in their second edition.
I was there in the first edition, but I did the 26K. They at that time they had 26, 52, 78, those kind of distances. I just thought I'll do the 26 because 1 month before that I had just done a full marathon. So even I thought that was foolish to do back to back. So I did the 26, but the next year I trained a little better and went for the 50. There again, I think there were about just two, three women doing the 50. By then, there were many women who had started doing half and other distances. The running scene was coming up.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I did the 50, and that is where I met this person called Santosh. He along with two other guys were already doing a 24-hour run at that ultra event. And everybody was, who are these three people who are doing a 24-hour run? So even I went to see who are these three people doing it. They started the night before. And I saw these three boys running. Obviously saw me running there. I also saw him running there. And the other person was Dr. Rajat, who I think you know, he's now in Delhi. Yeah. Rajat was also doing the 24-hour. And there was a third person. So I think post the ultra marathon, Rajat and Santosh got together and decided that they will do proper coaching for runners. And because presume because they had seen me at the ultra, and Rajat already knew me before that, they approached me and said, "Would you like to be coached?" And I really jumped at that opportunity to have a running coach because till then nobody had coached me. So then I joined their pilot program. We were just about 10 people who joined their pilot program. But at that time, I was highly, highly inspired by Santosh because his whole approach to running and his whole approach to life itself was something I had not seen before. He had quit his job in the US. He was an engineer who was working for a company in the US. He quit. He came back to India to help underprivileged children. His heart was in doing that kind of work, and he thought he could channelize running towards doing something better for these children. So one thing that he told me right at the start, and which still I keep in my mind, is there should never be any empty miles. Running, do not always you run to achieve, you do whatever you want, but put that running to good use. How are you going to do this? How are we going to put this running to better use? What use is, I mean, after a while, yes, you have medals hanging on your walls, you have trophies, they just gather dust. And I mean, what are we? I'm not here, or I don't think after a while it really gives you a kick to tell people, oh, I did this distance, I did that distance, and you may be feeling great about it, but has it helped another person? No. So Santosh is the first person who approached running with the view that we will train you, then we will form this group it is a group called Runners High. And all the training fees that we collect towards further training, he said, we will coach you people. We were 10 of us, and then you become coaches, and we will take more runners and we will spread out, because then we'll have different locations where you coaches can go and train. We alone can't train, two people can't train. In the first program itself, I think we had close to 50 people. So he said we had some in Kaban, some in Jaina, different parts of Bangalore, and we can take running to people, number one. So you get people into running. That is the first job. The second job is how are the fee that we get from all this, let's use it not for our personal benefit, but to help these children. So Ranasa is affiliated even today with schools where we help children who are disabled, children with cerebral palsy, underprivileged children, children to get an education so that they grow up and they have equal opportunities in life. And I'm so, so happy because there came a time when, through all the running, through all the children's education that we did, I have employed 8 girls from these schools themselves to be trainers in my gyms. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wonderful, ma'am.
So,
Wonderful.
Santosh absolutely changed my perspective. And since then, Runners High and all the people who run in Runners High, we also run. We also want to do better runs. We also want to become faster, do more distances. We are like every other runner. I'm not saying no. But at the end of the day, our miles are never empty. That work we do, the money we get from training people, we spend towards what we do for these children and many initiatives. In fact, even during COVID, when the schools for all these kids were closed, they were back home. It was very tough situation, and we did some crazy runs. We did 21 half marathons. To not only us, the whole Bangalore runner group supported us to raise money so that we could send groceries and ration to their homes. So somewhere down the line, I realized that running is not about yourself always. Run, but take the message of fitness across to people. If they can achieve better, great. push them. If they can't, if they just want to enjoy running, let them enjoy running. Not everybody is born to be a champion or wants to be a champion. Let me put it that way. Everybody has different perspectives towards this. Not everybody runs for a medal. You know, many people who just do their own runs and do their own 21 Ks and 42 Ks, and they don't participate in events at all. They don't want it. They don't want the commercial angle to it somehow. So there are different types of runners. It doesn't matter what kind of runner you are. At the end of the day, are you helping another person? That's the message. And that's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey with Santosh. Particularly him, I mention over and over again because he was the one person who encouraged me to do ultra marathons at that time when I myself was doubting whether beyond 50 at
Mm.
this age, by the time I did 50, I was already 50, whether I
I
would
can
be
totally
so.
understand. Sometimes we don't know our own potential, and someone who's sitting, seeing us from afar can see more of our potential. And when they have that trust in us, it really pushes us to be better than what we were yesterday. I totally understand the importance of a coach in a life. And if you get a
Yeah,
true mentor, probably half the battle is already won.
totally, totally. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
he encouraged me, and I am never trained alone. I've always trained in a group, never alone. So with a bunch of, in fact, I was the only woman at that time in that group. They were all men and a much older woman also. But we would have, I mean, I never felt like they're treating me any differently. We would do all our trainings together. And I think the reason I pursued higher distances always is because I always enjoyed those trainings. For me, the fun was in the training, not in the final event. The
Mhm.
event did not matter. I mean, you do what you can at an event. But I've enjoyed the journey with these runners because we are all like minded people who had a tremendous good time with them. So at a time when I was quite stressed because of other things happening in my work, home because of my husband's illness, this was a great, what do you say, outlet for me. And these boys were just amazing in the way they adjusted with me through all my, I had commitments at the hospital and other things. They would adjust every which way with me. And that was, and I think we all used to adjust with each other. I would do the same for them. So I always joke and say I'm one of those old women who was so lucky enough to have so many young boys running around with her all the time.
No,
So
no.
we've had a tremendous journey, and yes, every increased distance from 100 to 24 hour to 36 hour to 46 hour to intercity run, whatever we did, it was not the even day at all, and never have we gone out there and we would also like to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we don't want to win, but it was not that kind of mindset. We've enjoyed our journey and we wanted to do our best on even day. That's the way we have been trained, and that's been our outlook to running. For us, running is if you don't enjoy running, don't do it.
No,
And
no,
I've
we
never.
can't do it. I think the one person who doesn't enjoy running can't train so hard. You have to
Yeah, but
have that passion.
so enjoy what you do. I enjoy endurance running. I don't enjoy speed. That's the person I am. I can, like a horse, go on and on for hours. But if you tell me to run fast beyond my aerobic capability, I won't because I don't enjoy it. And I don't see the need to push myself. I don't have to prove a point to anybody. I do what I want to do. And I think in the process, I'm proud because not of any of my achievements. I'm proud of the way we have helped people, educated them, given them jobs today. We are so proud to have so many children who are doing very well in their jobs today. And that for us is our biggest achievement. None of our running. Running is okay, it happened along the way. So,
I
yeah.
think, ma'am, I feel probably I'm not at the stage where, I can think like you, probably, maybe, but then it's a message that I would keep in mind that, as you grow older, it's not the runs that matter, it's what you've
Correct.
given back that would matter and that you would be happy about.
Yeah, and everybody has different perspectives on this. I'm not saying everybody has to do it. Whatever you enjoy and what suits you, please do it. And for me, this was something. It's been an amazing journey. I would never ever think of a space other than Ranasai because we are a very different group.
Mm-hmm.
We may not be creating great amount of podium finishers, we don't care. But what we do silently, not many people know that the amount of good work we have done through the running itself has
Mm-hmm.
been, and we've created a community where everybody believes in the same thought.
And
So
that's what
that's,
you're more proud of.
yes, absolutely. My pride has never been in what I have achieved. My pride has been in what we have done and what we continue to do. And I hope we do it for many, many years.
Yeah, awesome, ma'am. You would. Ma'am, tell me one thing. Now, back to running, if I just talk about these long distances like 24 hours run back in 2014, then a 36 hours run, which is still not common. If I just talk about even today, we're sitting in 2023, and you did a 36 hours run in 2016, and you did another 48 hours run in 2017. It is not even common today. Even now, I don't know female who are doing 36 or
No,
48
I
at this
think
point.
I think post that point, the stadiums were stopped giving permission more than 24 hours. So obviously, it's come back to 24 hours now.
Oh,
But
is
yeah,
it?
we were the lucky ones who got that window of 36 and 48 hours. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was very challenging. But if you
Uh-huh.
train towards these things, it's not very, I mean, it is daunting. It is very daunting. It is very
Yeah,
challenging.
but
But
I think it's very scary also at one point, when you just think of it as an outsider and think of a person running or being on the track for 36 hours, on the track for 48 hours. Wasn't it
yeah, but
scary for you?
no, but there is support. There are people, there is an ambulance, there are physiotherapists, there is medical check done every 2 hours post a certain time. The organizers also take care. You don't just make you run 24 hours like that. You stop when I say 48 hours, I'm not running continuously 48 hours. I have to stop to eat, I have to stop to change my clothes, I have to go to the toilet. They allow you about 6 hours of time off the track. When if you want, you can sleep. I did sleep. I did sleep so it was 2 nights, 2 days. The first night, I think I slept about 3 hours. Of course, second night I couldn't sleep much. Or the first night I didn't sleep. I think the second night I slept 3 hours, something like that. So yeah, there is some time off the track. It's not like you're running like continuously, but it is still at least 40 hours you're on the track for sure. But people, the organizers take care. They don't just, I mean, if they see that you are, they do medical checks and they see that if something is amiss, they pull you out of the track. They don't let you run
That's
after
true. But what goes into the mind of a person who is on the track for, say,
that.
42 hours out of this 48 hours? How do you really push when your legs are aching, when your mind is aching, maybe your back or your shoulders are aching? What really pushes you to keep putting one step ahead of the other?
So, ultra running is all about mental training. It's not physical training at all. It's all in the, it's how do you train your mind to believe when you're down and out that you can still get up and run. That is all ultra running is. Ultra running is seriously about mental strength and how you train your mind to become very, very strong. I'm saying when you train more and more, the mind also starts getting stronger and stronger.
Mhm.
It
No, but
starts believing that you can do it. So it's not like we just got up and did a 48-hour run. We start with maybe a 6 hour run, then train 8 hours, then 10 hours, then 12 hours. We do night runs. So our longest training was about 20 hours for the 48 hours, then another day of 10 hours. So we really put our body through the grind to prepare yourself for that day. You probably do twice or thrice the mileage you would do on or more than that on race day in training. So your mind, after a while, once you start achieving things in training, believes that you can do it. It's not like suddenly you can't suddenly get up and run 48 hours. That's not possible. It required a lot of training. We did a lot of training.
मैम बट कोई तो ऐसा पॉइंट आता होगा ना wherein your mind would also start saying बहुत थक गए, stop it. How do you then push back that thought and bring back that thought that you have to continue? कहीं तो वो breaking moment आता होगा where you have to cross and
It
move
is.
forward.
It is there for all of us. Not all my trainings have gone well. There are trainings when I've had really bad trainings where I've stopped, started, not been able to run. It happens to each of us. But I think we get strength from seeing each other. Others inspire me and I continue. Sometimes I inspire them and they continue. And we pull along each other. Ultra running is not a single sport. Believe me, you need a lot of support. I don't know if people are doing by themselves. Hats off to them. I'll never be able to do it. I need the moral support of the group I run with. They've always been there for me. I've been there for them, and we've pulled each other through the whole journey, and it's been amazing. Even the Bangalore Chennai run that we did, it's on the highways, so it's not very comfortable for a woman to run on the highways. Although in certain sections you get those side roads, but mostly the highways. So they never left my side. My coach Santosh was with me the whole time. He ran alongside me,
Mm-hmm.
made sure that I'm never left alone. So even the night runs we do, safety is of prime importance. So they never leave me alone. I'm always surrounded by these guys. So that's the reason my husband would let me do this. My family was always safe and happy because they know all my friends. They know how much they take care of me and that I would never be left alone. I would never do anything that is a danger to me. So
Mm-hmm.
somehow I felt the whole journey so pleasurable. I can't even tell you. It's been an amazing, amazing
But
journey.
so how long was this Bangalore to Chennai run in 2018 that you did? How many kilometers was it?
No, we didn't run the nights. Nights are extremely dangerous. On highways, you can only do. There are no lights, truck drivers. We won't take that chance. It was only daytime.
Mm-hmm.
We reached there on the fifth day by afternoon. We were there.
So it was a multi-day race, if I put
Yeah,
it.
stopped along the way. Yeah.
Mhm. So okay, you started with the multi-days. Probably 48 hours wasn't enough. So
Yeah, we've done. After that, we did one more multi-day run in Goa. I think we ran for 5 days. Uh, every run is a challenge in its own way. A straight 48-hour run is a challenge. Multi-day runs are. I find them even more challenging because muscles don't recover the next morning for you to do another crazy long run again the next day. But you somehow, whatever stretching, whatever foam rolling you do, it's not the same. Like beating it up day after day after day. That's a different challenge. Nice. We've gone through all these challenges.
but that's why I think that was, something that you wanted to take because it was next level. Now, ma'am, tell me about strength training. Now that you had your gym chain of gyms also, you have been into running for so long. How is training important? Why is it important? Do you think it really helped you, or what's your take on that?
I absolutely think at the age I started running and at the age at which I did my hundreds and these crazy kilometers I've done is all thanks to, of course, my training, no doubt about it, but also a large part of it is due to strength training, due to muscle training. I've always kept my muscles strong, always exercised. Through all this journey, 2 days of gymming was without question had to be done and intense training, not some mild training. Unless your muscles are strong, you won't be able to do the distances or the speed you want to do. Speed, of course, like strength and power comes from a different kind of training. Endurance comes from a different kind of training. We obviously were training for endurance because our need was to do longer distances. But nevertheless, I think I owe a large part of whatever I've done to strength training. And I always advocated with all the runners that once you start running, don't ignore the strength training part of it. It's very, very important to keep the running going. Because running is like pounding, you're pounding all your muscles out there, and then you need to recover, make the muscles stronger, and then come back and run again. So it's very important strength training. So I
Mhm.
do the strength training for runners, for my running group, and I teach. So a lot of them have learned these workouts from me, and they continue their. We still do 2 days of strength training for them, and other days of run training for them.
Mhm. So, ma'am, when it comes to strength training, what do you recommend? Like, should it be done through weights, or is it okay to do weight like own weight training? Self weight training itself.
So there are different ways to do it. You can do body weight training initially. After a while, I think you need to change the resistance. Your body weight will be the same. I don't think it's exponentially going to go up or go down. Start. You don't always have to lift very heavy weights, but today you get so many accessories. You have balance boards, you have bozo balls, you have bands, you have TRX suspension, you have sliders, innumerable accessories which can challenge your body through movement. It may
Mhm.
not always be weight. Everything causes resistance to the muscle, right? So it
Mhm.
can be through movement. So Yeah, so there are various ways, and of course, weight training is very important also,
No.
where you have to challenge by lifting a little more weight, but not too much. In our sense, I mean, we don't do huge amount of weights with less repetition. That's strength and power. For a marathon runner who needs to do 42K and ultra running, particularly ultra runners, endurance is very important. How are you going to keep your body going on and on for hours and hours and hours? That comes from high repetition, but tolerable weights. I wouldn't say less weights. Weights are important. Challenging your last 3, 4 repetitions have to be challenging in your workout. You
Mhm.
can't like do it so easily and think I'm doing a great workout. Have to
Mhm.
challenge.
Ma'am, and how many days a week would you recommend strength training to ultra runners
Depends on
specifically?
how many days you're doing your running training, no? So I would recommend 2 days of recovery for sure. 2 days rest is required in a week. So if you're doing 3 days of running, then you do 2 days of strength training. And 2 days you have to recover. It's very important to recover the muscles before you strength train again. You can't keep beating it up over and over again.
Ma'am, if we talk about injury, now injury is very common when it comes to runners. It gives you a runner high, you want to speed up, or even when it comes to endurance, you want to run longer and longer, and injury becomes your friend. So, how do you think we can kind of try to prevent injury? And did you had any major injury throughout your running career, or you know, what's your take in that?
Of course, all of us have had. Injuries are part and parcel of the game. You can do all the strength training you want. You can do all the foam rolling, stretching, flexibility, mobility. There are all types of exercises you can do, but pounding at the end of the day, your muscles will have some impact somewhere or the other at some stage. But pushing through injury is what people do, and that's a very, very bad idea. Injuries will always, your body is very self healing. You can recover very fast. You can do some physio sessions and recover. But till you recover, please don't go back to running. Don't please go and think that by running more and more, this injury will go away on its own. Nothing goes away on its own. The mistake people make is number one, not strengthening their muscles enough to run. And secondly, not giving injury the respect that it needs. You need to give it some time to recover. We are also humans, we are not robots. Our bodies will go through injuries. There will be times when you won't be able to train. It's okay. You have to be patient and come back and train and adapt to your schedule and then restart and then it'll all come back. Like
Mhm.
right now, I have a knee injury. I mean, I had a meniscal tear and I've undergone a knee surgery in December. And the doctor has strictly told me for 6 months, don't even think about running. So I'm not running. I mean, it'd be foolish of me right now to think that by running, just because I have run so much in the past, I can pull this off. It's not that way. You just have to recover, listen to the doctor, and then get back to
Hmm. Ma'am, but how do you get that patience? It's hard not to get that endorphins.
it. It's hard initially, I know, but it's wiser. In my case, I get equal pleasure from strength training. So I've been strengthening a lot. So
Uh-huh.
I'm using this time to, because now I also do my own classes to do a lot of varieties on myself, teach my students, strengthen, 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 which will
Mhm.
hold you in good stead as you go along. You
Mhm.
can't run, strengthen, do other things. I go to the pool, I do a lot of water exercises under the pool. Like
Mhm.
immediately after the surgery, I was not allowed to squat for 2 months. They said no squatting. But you can do it underwater because water has zero resistance. So you can figure out ways to keep yourself active, fit, and get back to what you love later. I mean, you have
Mhm.
to give your body time to heal. It may, in my case, because age is not on my side, it may take more than 6 months, probably. I'm not sure. It's okay. I'm willing to wait. If that has to be done, that has to be done, unfortunately.
Now, ma'am, you have achieved many, many races already. Now, do you have any vision, goals in the future for you when it comes to strength training or ultra running as such?
Not really. Now, I think time has come for me to take it a bit easy and maybe be more with my family. My children are abroad. So I plan to at least travel a lot, be with them some parts of the year. They come here. And I want to keep running, to keep fit, to keep doing the things I'm doing with the school. with my group to train others. I think sometimes it's good to impart your knowledge to others than keep doing it yourself. There will come a stage in life when I'm not saying you should stop. I would still want to do what I was doing. But whether my body can take it, I don't know. Maybe I probably will be surprised. Maybe I'll be able to do it again. I wouldn't mind doing it. But earlier it was something I pursued with ferocity and a passion. Now I think I've come to that stage in life when I want to do other things also. Running I've done for now close to, if I'm talking about like 20 years with avid passion and training, and this is, I put in a lot of effort into this sport. I'm not saying it has made me unidimensional, but I would like to pursue so many other things. For example, right now I'm learning a language. I want to pursue something in music. I want to travel. I want to see parts of the world. Many other things. Since now I'm not tied down by a business, I'm only doing online classes, which I can do from anywhere in the world. I don't have to be here to do it.
Mm.
I think it's time that I did other things also. A lot of
Mm.
other interests I have. But of course, running is my first passion, and strength training and running will never go out of my system for sure.
Mhm.
And I will
Nice.
still, for me, there will always be that one more time for sure. I don't know when it will come.
Lovely, lovely. Tell me about these online classes, coaching sessions that you give. What kind of a coaching do you give? How does it go?
Many of them are my own runners who come and do one day of extra training with me. They anyway do it at the running group level also. There are many others also who come. So
Mm.
it depends. I have two. One is moderately planned classes. The others are for people who are already fit and who want to push their limits. So again, not great amount of weights, but we do good amount of tough training. When I say tough training, it doesn't always have to be about lifting weights. It can be difficult body movements.
Mhm.
So we do a good 1 hour. I do about 8 to 9 classes a week. And I
Mhm.
also do classes for senior citizens because I feel it's very important that as people get older, they should keep their muscles very active, and
Mhm.
they should not be just resting.
Mhm.
So a lot of senior citizens, like I have about 10 to 12 of them who come for classes, and they've all become very, very fit. I feel happy when I see them. They're not
That's
runners.
uh-huh. That's a wonderful approach, ma'am. Just please, my father is nearly 68, 69, and I do taekwondo classes. And I was asking my sir, do you teach senior citizens? And he was quite, surprised. And I actually was thinking there should be classes specifically for senior citizens because they don't feel comfortable coming in a general group. And for example, you initially had the chain of gyms for women only. We needed that because at that time, they were not comfortable coming along with everyone. So what I see now is with my parents and with everyone in the extended family also, I see they're not comfortable coming along with the young people.
Yeah, there is a bit of a mind block when you, like today, if I go to a gym, because my gyms are closed, I sometimes go to my club gym or any gym which is unisex. I do feel a bit odd, not because I can't do what they are doing, but just that I'm so much older and I see all these youngsters there. I don't see many older adults. Kind of makes you feel a little odd, like they also look at, what is this lady doing here? So I remember I went to, when I was running my gym chain, sometimes you go to your competitors to see what they are doing. So I went to another one and they looked at me and said, "Oh, at your age, you just do treadmill running. Please don't do weights." That was the first advice I got. And I'm like, wow, what kind of advice is this? I really don't know. So you see, perceptions are, people associate age with rest for some reason, but that's so wrong. People, older people should need to be more active, need to be keep their muscles strong, because age is never kind on your body. Your joints will weaken, your bones, muscles, everything weakens. So you should keep yourself going for a long, long time. So yeah.
Absolutely. What I feel is because I read a lot about people who are older in other countries. I was there in UK also for a couple of years. I see even at quite a good age, they're still running and doing a lot of physical exercises. And then when I come back to India, I see not many people are doing it at that age. So I think it's more of a mindset. It's a societal mindset. till that
It will
exactly comes
take
where the younger and older can blend together. I feel that if there would be a specific chain or specific coach for training older people, I think slowly they would blend and come with younger. But now the need is to
well,
have specific.
just like how women were not running and now
Yes.
so many are running. Now you go to a marathon, it's full of women. So
Hmm.
yeah, it'll change. It takes 2, 3 generations to change. Change doesn't happen in one generation. I'm sure by few years you will see everybody being active in common spaces. I'm very sure. Takes
Hmm.
India is a bit behind that way when compared to Western countries where this movement probably started earlier. For
Hmm.
example, when you go abroad, you go to Berlin. I did a Berlin marathon. About 50,000 runners, more than 50% are women.
Hmm.
Even now, when you do a Mumbai marathon, if there are about 7,000 participants, barely 1,000 will be women. So it takes a few years to change, and it will happen. 100% happen.
Yes, right, right. And coming to now, if we just try to wind it down, and then any run that that did not go as per plan. I see that you've been doing a lot of different things at different point in time. I'm sure closing down your gyms wouldn't have been a very happier note, but then you closed and you started doing this self coaching or so. So any run that did not go as per plan, and how do you really take it, or what do you recommend to the other people how they should look at it?
Every failed attempt is a learning, believe me. I think we learn more from failures than from the good runs that we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a learning experience, and you can't expect that every time you go out there you're going to succeed. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be prepared for it. And there have been runs. I've done 2 36-hour runs. The second one was the one in 2016. Prior to that, I've done another one. And that one was bad because that was the time he was sick, my husband was sick, and I was going through a lot. I mean, my training had gone bad. Nothing was working well for me. And then I went out there. I knew it would be a bad event, but I just wanted to be with my group and just do whatever I can. And I walked most of the time, honestly, in that run because I just couldn't do it. Happens. I mean, these things happen. And then the next one went very well. So yeah, we learn along the way. And there are sometimes causes which you can control. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's just not your day. It happens to each of us. Your
Mm-hmm.
legs just don't move and you don't know why I'm the same person, I ate the same thing, I trained the same way, but why my legs are not moving today, I don't know, but it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
Some runs go extremely well beyond your expectations. You wonder, what did I do right today? How did I run like this? And then the very next day you probably will have one horrible run. So these things happen. I mean, you just learn from it. At what stage of the run are you going down? When is your body fatiguing? At that point, what did you do wrong? What can you do to correct it? So these are all learning experiences. It's good to fail and learn. You see a
That
Federer
keeps
losing,
us
you
humble, there's no one, that keeps us very humble. There's no way one can keep on winning and winning and be ahead
do.
of everyone right now. I'm sure your husband must be very happy looking, being above and then seeing you happy down here. Absolutely. Now, ma'am, do you think the strength training and running changed your perspective towards life or helped you how you deal with life in general in any way?
Absolutely. I think I got a lot of mental strength from doing things which I thought I can't do. And that mental strength translated itself into many other aspects of my life. Like in earlier, little things at work would, when things go wrong, upset you, irritate you. Then along the way, you realize like things are never going to go the same way. So learn to accept it, learn to move on. There's always, like, we always say this while running, you go through waves. You go through some crazy lows when you're running, when you feel your body can't move at all. And then suddenly you get this high. You don't know from where that energy comes to run again. And I find it's a similar pattern in life that you go through lows and then you know that low doesn't stay for too long. You come to a high again. So yeah, running and strength training and being fit and active has made, and the mental strength I've derived from it is what has helped me tide through many events in my life which otherwise would have bogged me down. which would have brought me down and said, "Why the hell am I even trying this anymore? Forget it." But it's not that. It teaches you. I think any sports person, it's. I think because they become strong because sports teaches you humility. It teaches you what do you call sustenance. It teaches you perseverance, mental strength. So these are the benefits of being active and pursuing a sport. I think all children should do it, and life changes. It's not all about just learning. Yes, we need to have knowledge, but beyond that, there is a world too.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, from here we will move towards the last question. Any message to girls, women, or people out there in general that you have so much of experience in the sport?
Yeah, I would say pursue your passion. Everybody's passion is different. It need not be running and strength training. It can be something else, but pursue your passion, whatever it is. Don't give up easily. Ups and downs will happen. There will be days where you want to give up. Grind through those days, and you will see the good times will come again. Do not be bothered about what people say about you. Number one, it doesn't matter. End of the day, do what you like. As long as you're not harming others, do the things that you like, do it with a passion and enjoy it. Enjoy the things you do. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. Don't do it to prove a point to someone else. Because X did an ultra marathon, I want to be an ultra marathoner is stupidity. Do it because you want to do it. Enjoy it. Do it to the best of your ability. That's all. Just pursue your passion. Don't give up so easily.
Absolutely, ma'am. Lovely. But thank you so much, ma'am, for coming
Well,
over and sharing your story. It's an absolute pleasure to hear you out firsthand. Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. Thank you, Vinal. Thank you for having me. Bye bye.
Yeah.